Hello everyone and welcome to Future Sketch, the energy update for July 2023. My name is Chris Bro. I'm an energy healer and intuitive, and every month I try to read the energies of the upcoming month to see what may be emerging for us and to offer strategies for navigating those experiences. So let's dive right in. Now, you may or may not be aware, but last month I did not give a reading. And one of the reasons for that is that collectively we're experiencing this energy of separation and an inability for us to help each other in making the decisions and the choices that will lead us to healing as a collective and as a human race. And all of this is an alchemical process and a stage in that process where we are feeling the separation from those energies and experiencing outwardly the separation from each other. But all of this is to bring us back into unity. So there's a paradox in that experience, in the whole process of alchemy, and where we see ourselves being separated to become more unified. So that was one of the reasons why I didn't give a reading for last month. And this energy is really challenging for healers in themselves. And as a healer myself, part of my identity is rooted in that ability to help other people. And so when that ability is lost, it creates conflicting feelings within myself that I've experienced that are both liberating and confusing at the same time. Liberating in the sense that I recognize I don't need to help anyone else, because all of the work and the transformation must come from inside each individual. And so I don't need to do anything for them. So there's that part. But then also, what am I left to do? There's no, that's when my identity is helping other people and I lose that ability. How am I supposed to move forward? And so last month for me, and even continuing into these next few months, have been really about doing my own self-work and bringing me back into my own work of expanding consciously and spiritually. So a major theme this month is going to be around mental energy, and what we'll see is a lot of overthinking and a failure of logical thought. And we're already seeing this emergence in the limitations of science and reasoning, as well as particularly, and I don't generally like to be specific, but in regards to the decisions made by the Supreme Court recently, we are seeing these limitations and the failure of logic, and how it can only provide us with a partial understanding of the universe and our experience. And so this month, what we'll see is that revelation of the limitations in mental energy, which can ultimately lead us to understanding its usefulness. And so it's both good and bad, and in that way is a good experience for us to understand how mental energy is useful, how we should be using it, and how it can help us to understand our experiences. And so the first part of the reading was symbolizing inspiration out of conflict. So the ideas, conflicting ideas that we may have, which may lead to new ways of thinking. Maybe we were wrong about a concept, or maybe not wrong, but just not fully correct. But through an exploration of different perspectives, we may find a new path that moves us forward with a newfound enthusiasm. But also, we may experience within this the opposite side of that, where we understand the how conflicting ideas within ourselves can block that inspiration, and can block our creative minds and our creativity by being too logical or pouring too much mental energy and thought into a project. It will stifle it. So we may see both of those, but all around this sort of experience of understanding how mental energy is used within creation, within creative inspiration and projects associated with that. And this next one was really interesting because it's been showing up for us over the past few months in different ways. But we live in a time of effortless connectivity, and news travels at lightning speed, and we can easily immerse ourselves in the lives of other people so deeply. And so, on one hand, this connection, this effortless connection, can offer us a sense of community and finding connection, and give us a sense of not being alone in our experience. But on the other hand, the shadow of connection is comparison. And when we experience connection through the shadow frequency, we fall into the patterns of comparing our experience with the experiences of others. And we experience envy and jealousy, and this leads us to a pattern of imitation and a loss of authenticity. So in doing so, we denigrate our own experience, and we lose the perspective that we're all different facets of the same diamond. So this month, look for an inventory of your relationships, and taking a closer look at the quality and value of those relationships in your life. This includes all relationships, both externally and internally. So jobs, friends, hobbies, etc. Our relationships are more than just partnerships or fleeting incidental circumstances. They are a union of spirit and involve higher creation through collaboration in the experience of multidimensional oneness. And so we're being reminded of the responsibility that we each have in preparing ourselves to show up for these relationships with harmony, clarity, and organization, as well as the responsibility and the courage to walk away from those relationships that don't reflect the same. And so this next piece of wisdom, the eddies of fear, in this experience we are offered a choice. And the choice is one that is central to the image of the drifter, of being carried along by the river of life. And in the image of the drifter is one of a boat, and the boat, which represents us, it floats along on the river of life. So the message inherent to the image of the drifter is one of surrender. Do we resist the flow and direction of the current, or do we let go and surrender to that flow? So overthinking is like a boulder in the river that tries to alter the current of the water. And truly it does, but not usually in the way that we intend. In nature, eddies usually form downstream from an obstacle in the river, like a boulder. And eddies are like whirlpools or currents of water that travel in different directions than the main course of the river. So this analogy describes how overthinking can trap us in fear, and that fear can swirl us around and disorient us and hold us prisoner. And now, when I was researching eddies to get a better understanding of the imagery and symbolism being offered, I found that in nature, Eddies are great places for outdoor enthusiasts like swimmers and kayakers to enter and exit the water. And when I read this, I was like, wow, this is hugely significant to the message here, because it tells us that we are in control. That being trapped in fear is only an illusion created by the fear itself. The fear created by our overthinking. So when we let go and we surrender, we may be surprised at where the current takes us. So now we'll talk about a few strategies that were offered in the reading for navigating the emerging energies of July. And so the first strategy that was offered is just a reminder to return to integrity, to return to our authenticity, to our own individual source, and to do so by way of intuition. So what came through is a reminder that what we're experiencing externally is not fully, may not fully be correct. It may not, that the signs and the signals that we see externally and what we should be doing, or how we should be doing it, the advice we may even be getting from others, it may not be coming from a place that is true for us. And so we should be wary of it in some ways. And even the mentors that we have, it may be time for us to find new mentors, ones that speak more to the heart, and less with an agenda. And so really finding our way back to ourselves and back to our authentic presentation and how we wish to show up in our experiences. And the second strategy offered for us in the reading is reminding us to take a step back to view the obstacles that are presenting themselves. We're in a very chaotic time with the emergence of quite a bit of healing on many different levels. And none of us really truly understand it because we are in the experience of understanding it. So we need to take a step back and really observe the bigger picture, so that we know which step that we take next is the right one for us. So the next strategy offered is in relation to our intentionality, and just an invitation to examine and let go of the distractions that may be taking us away from our desired goal. So anything that doesn't bring balance and harmony into our lives, having the courage and willingness to let those things go, to narrow down our vision, and to sort of hone in on what we truly wish to create for ourselves. And the last strategy that was offered, which is probably the most important, is to have patience. And patience is probably the most difficult thing for us to have right now, which is why it's the most important. But we have to remember that this is a process, an alchemical process looking to transform our separateness to more unity, harmony, and balance. But the only way that we get there is through the journey. So that brings us to the end. Thank you for watching. Go ahead and leave a comment down below on how these energies may be showing up for you. And as always, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey.